Every time I turn around, there's a new phone, a smarter toaster, something else trying to get my attention.
Right.
It can feel impossible to keep up with it all, let alone, like, figure out what's actually worth investing time and money in.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing in this deep dive. We're taking a look at this YouTube channel I found, see if it's worth your precious time. They describe themselves as a source for tech reviews and tutorials. Always a good sign. With a focus on, and I quote, the latest and greatest gadgets. So, on the surface it seems promising, but will it actually be useful for you? That's what we're here to figure out.
Right. Let's break it down.
Okay. So one thing that kind of jumps out at me right off the bat is that they are emphasizing both, like in-depth reviews and tutorials. So it's
Good.
not just about telling you what a gadget is, but how to actually use it. What do you think about that two-pronged approach?
Well, I mean, to me, that's actually a really interesting choice. And I think it speaks to the fact that, especially these days, there's a real desire for, more than just specs and features, right? Like, people need to know how to actually integrate this stuff into their lives.
Totally. Because I can read a million reviews about, like, a new phone, but if I don't actually know how to use the darn thing, what's the point?
Exactly.
So, yeah, providing those tutorials, especially if they're well done, that could be really valuable for sure.
Yeah, and I think it plays into this larger trend, too, of just information overload in the tech space, right? There's just so much coming at us all the time. People are looking for, curated, reliable sources to help them make sense of it all.
Yeah. Speaking of which, they do seem to really highlight being on the cutting edge, latest tech, must-have devices, all that jazz. Does that make you think that this channel might be more for those early adopters, the ones who always have to have the newest thing, as opposed to someone who's maybe rocking like a 5-year-old laptop and just wants some basic questions answered?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really valid point. I just, based on what we're seeing in this description, they definitely give off that early adopter vibe. It's all about the hot new thing, the latest releases. I'm not seeing anything about like troubleshooting older tech or, finding more budget-friendly options.
Right, right. And that's not a bad thing, but it's definitely something to keep in mind depending on what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay. So they are pretty specific about the types of gadgets they're covering. They list out smartphones, laptops, smart home gadgets, and accessories, which does give us some clues about their target audience, right?
Yeah, and I think, taken together, those categories, it suggests a pretty mainstream consumer-focused approach.
Yeah.
We're talking about the types of devices that most people are interacting with on a daily basis, not like, super niche specialized equipment, more of a general tech interest, it seems like.
Okay, so to summarize this deep dive, it sounds like this YouTube channel is trying to position themselves as a one-stop shop for all things consumer tech, reviews, tutorials, all that, and they're really focusing on the newest gadgets out there. So my question for all of you listening is, does this sound like something that would actually be helpful for you? And if you did check it out, what's the one gadget review or tutorial even that you'd be most interested in seeing? I think that's something worth thinking about.